Okay, this video is for someone who wrote me an email, and I don't have it in front of me. I want to say his name was Roger from the UK. Wondering about door gaps and shimming. And I spent a considerable amount of time working on the door gaps on this car because I replaced both inner and outer rocker panels, so the heater channel and the rocker panel and the stiffeners that go in the middle of those. Roger has a convertible Karmann Ghia, not sure what year, but somebody else did all the body work, metal work, or something along those lines, rust repair, and he's now got the car in a box of parts and is in assembly. So he's got a problem with the rear door gaps, which we'll take a look at the car now. This is the door gap that he's talking about at the B pillar. You can see that this gap is pretty well even from top to bottom, and the gap up here, there's my fingernail, so 1/8 of an inch maybe, and door, of course I say that, and it should just, yeah, hang on, the striker on this side kind of sucks, but the door should close easy like that. So there's the second click. So what I did is I took the striker off. So I took that little piece off the car. Then I put the car together and I made the door hang so that this lined up across here. And then this line lined up here, and there we go, that looks better. So make sure those body lines match. Don't pay attention to the bottom because it's irrelevant. You want the body lines to match up here. So to get the door to go like this, number one, you have to make sure your hinges are solid. So when you have the hinges in your hand and you try and twist one way or another, they shouldn't move. I mean, maybe a couple thousandths, but there should be no slop or play in them. If there's play in them, they just need to be rebuilt. Don't even try them because they won't hang right, period. So once you get the hinges right, then, sorry, I got my, whoa. I got a bunch of stuff here. I'm in the middle of a week's vacation, so bear with me. I've got all kinds of things going. These bolts right here are what you tighten down, and so the body mounts on a cross member that goes this way, so that becomes a hinge point. So the more you tighten this down here, it rotates the nose down, and that makes the doors go up and down, okay? So that's where you start. Once you have the top of this panel, then the next thing you need to do is rotate the back end of the car to where the door gap closes. So it should always look fairly good at the bottom. And there's some back and forth here. So once you get this set, then you come back here and tweak this. Sometimes you have to go retweak that one. So how you do that is this, the back of the body, in the late years, there's a hole right here and there's a bolt underneath there. And then there's another bolt just to the rear of the car that sits under here. And we aren't going to be able to see it because it's dark, but it's just in front of, or just on top of, sorry, the torsion bar. Okay, so there's a shim that sits there, and then the car gets bolted down to it, and then there's a shim that sits right behind the tire here on the shock mount. So with those wrenched down, you look at the car, and if the back end, if the gap needs to close, you increase the shims here. If the gap needs to open, you decrease the shims here. Then you just have to make up the difference above that torsion bar. And it's hard to explain, but these both have to sit in tandem with one another. So if you lower one down, you kind of need to lower the other. You can use washers, you can use anything. Just get the height right first, and then once you figure out and get everything squared up and good, then you take the shims out. You can do it with the rubber, tighten it down, see how far you got to squeeze, whatever you got to do. So you get it done to one side, then you got to go repeat the same thing on the other. The important thing to note is that the top also needs to be in place when you're doing this, because if you get all the gaps right and there's a problem with the top and the top doesn't fit right, you're screwed. It means that the car is welded together wrong. So it all has to work together. And it's kind of a puzzle, but like I said, start with the front hinges, make sure they are tight, and once they're tight, then get the door slanted the way you want it to slant at the back end, then work on the back end, and then make sure your top still fits. Hope that helps. There you go.